All right, welcome everybody. First and foremost, let's talk about what we were mentioning yesterday about being bullish on the crypto. This is the Bitcoin BTC CME futures. You'll notice that it closed greater than that blue, which is the monthly pivot. Generally, you get these breakouts. You get a breakout above a pivot, and then the next day, what we call an equal and opposite, a failed rejection pattern. It's a two-bar reversal. This is now 1 day, 2 day. This is the third day we're above that pivot with increasing volume. And not that I really believe there's a lot of relationship between Bitcoin and the S&P 500, but this is the person market catcher relative strength performance tool. And it is showing that we are outperforming relative to the S&P. So there's a stock we recommended real quickly about on last night's video, which is RIOT blockchain. And looking at the February 15 strike calls, there was some really heavy duty volume in those 2 days ago when I did the report. And I still stand by that, even though the volume in the stock itself didn't really accelerate. What I like about it, though, as well, is that it's still in a trading range. And if we do get another surge to the upside out of crypto, this looks ready and posed to break out. And if we contract the chart so you can see more pricing, here's kind of like a compression pattern. If it breaks out and tests that high, easily I could see a 15.5 to 16 print testing back to where we were just last year in February. So I like that February 15 strike call. What I also want to talk about is where are we making some money? Now, in previous videos, I'm pretty sure, and I'm going to drop this in for your view. You can pause the video. I always offer that. This is our weekly advisory service, but this is what was in our newsletter for the beginning of the year. It's called the Dogs of the Market list. So I go through and filter out stocks that have strong seasonality, stocks, as you can read here, that may have been pressured lower near 20% of their 52-week lows. There's a bunch of little other criteria that I look for. And almost every single stock here, which we have long exposure for some of our accounts in our managed side, all of this, a lot of these names, especially the energy, and we'll get to some of the others in the healthcare sector, were upgraded or have seen decent moves in the recent week. In fact, today alone, it's really a coincidence. It's almost as if Wall Street got a hold of this list. We had United Parcel Service, UPS, with an upgrade today. We had, again, Johnson and Johnson with a big move and an upgrade today. So there were a lot of, Estee Lauder was also in this list. There it is with another upgrade. So there was some Mondelez. Someone came up with a positive comment on Mondelez. So almost all of these stocks that we had in our list had big moves. Now, the energy component has had a big tear and has done well since the beginning of the year. I'm going to go through rapid fire just to give you an idea of what we're looking at. There were approximately, 20 stocks on my list here, just not to take too much time and bore everyone. But this is where we're making some money in some trades. Mosaic, since the beginning, when the volume picked up and the relative performance, these two are very powerful tools together. You can get these tools via our partners with TradeStation, Genesis Financial, Wealth Charts, and again, a lot of these tools that you see are available on Thinkorswim. So if you're not familiar with Thinkorswim, these indicators are on Thinkorswim, which is now, or pretty much, Charles Schwab. So I'm going to just take my Schwab account platform and see if I can just kind of mosey it on over into this screen so that you can see it. Now, Thinkorswim does not have my momentum volume indicator, but we have second best. It's called the on balance volume tool, and you can add that in. And these charts are prearranged. This is Mosaic, same chart. You can see the pivots starting to give a highlighted higher high, higher low target as the relative strength started to improve. And I didn't draw this line in. We've already done it. As you can start to see, price moving down, and again, volume going up. We call that a bullish convergence. All right, moving forward. This is the TradeStation app, and I'm going to say, well, that was Mosaic. So that was one that was on our list. We're going to talk about Johnson and Johnson today. That's another one, had a nice move today, about 2%. I think, again, it's over its monthly pivot. How much is left in this trade? Bullish convergence. Price makes newer lows. Volume indicator indicates that it's a weak low. And if we get any type of pullback of 146 and change, it's worthy of a buy. You have minimum risk down below 140. All right, and what's my upside? On my upside on that target's back to about 155, and that's where we were back at the end of November. I don't think that's that hard. Estee Lauder Makeup Company got a big upgrade today too by Bank America. This has not the greatest volume pattern. We do have long exposure from back here in November. Many of you may have seen a TikTok or a YouTube reel or an Instagram reel. In fact, with Estee Lauder, there's a couple things even in our newsletter and our current positions I will share with you, and you've seen it before. We've been in this trade for a while. Estee Lauder, $73. Been in that trade for a while. Another one that we've been in for a while that I also gave out to the general public was right here, Louis Vuitton. And we'll talk about that because Louis Vuitton had a big move today, and on the heels of a competitor in France, Richemont, I think is the name of the company. They sell Mont Blanc pens and other high-end luxury goods. They had a great earnings release, and we saw a nice pop out of Louis Vuitton. So our advisory service, LVMUY. Now, this is a tricky stock because it's an American depository receipt trade. A lot of people don't like this to trade ADRs, but it was an easy trade. We got in that trade somewhere back, right here after that PPS buy. We announced it, and we've been in it for our newsletter traders. And as you can see, this was today's performance, up 10% on Louis Vuitton. Now, they might do even better going forward. They are the parent company of Veuve Clicquot Champagne. I'm pretty sure they sold a few bottles of that over New Year's holiday, but also Dom Perignon, where I think there's going to be a lot of champagne toast in the following week as we get into Donald Trump, President Trump's inauguration party and parade, et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, I think the high-end luxury goods, time to shine, and we're starting to see that those stocks start to perform right now. But what's interesting on my list, I mean, look at this. You can't make this up. Energy, Coterra, ConocoPhillips, Novo Nordisk, Merck, Johnson & Johnson, Estee Lauder, we'll talk about Nike in a minute, Stanley Black & Decker, Kraft Heinz, Mondelez, Humana, Medtronic, Adobe, AMD, and UPS. 4 of these stocks got all upgraded today by various institutions. One was UPS today. There's a big move. Look at the momentum of this. So how do you trade it if you're not in this? Well, first off, you can benefit from this by saying, listen, there's a lot of people that started to buy this with the volume, and the trend hasn't even really begun. So it's in the beginning phase of a basing action. The bigger the base, the bigger the breakout. So dips should be bought with minimum risk to the downside under the 122. If it's already been there and stopped everybody out once, nobody's going to want to get their stop that far away. So bottom line, I think you've got possibly in UPS a test of the upside channel here at around the 140. Humana, HUM. Humana already has had a pretty decent move. I mean, it's gone from when we got acquired some positions in here around the 250 mark. It did run up to 290. This is a stock that, honestly, I mean, sky's the limit. I think easy we're going to go to 312. So that's the first minimum objective. I like this, what I call a twin goalpost bottom, double bottom. If the momentum of the volume improves, it's going to be awesome. Look at the PMC, and it's showing outperformance relative to the S&P 500. Medtronic pays, by the way, people don't know this about Medtronic, but they invented the pacemaker. Big move to the upside. That's a great trade. All right, so you're probably not going to chase this trade. It's up almost 9% since our entry and since we recommended it in our newsletter. But look at the common denominator. Somebody started to buy this stock with the volume hinting that they were acquiring this position well ahead of the upgrade that it received today. Next is MDLZ. That's the offshoot from Kraft Heinz. Today got an upgrade, nice little pop. Staples might not be your thing. Pepsi coming up. First off, the football national championship, Notre Dame versus Ohio State. There's going to be some probable parties around, people watching that. Monday is going to be a hell of a day. Martin Luther King celebration of the life and the ideals that Martin Luther came with in helping the whole civil rights movement. Then you have the president's inauguration. Then you got Notre Dame versus Ohio State. Go Irish. In the meantime, you also are having the playoff football games. Pepsi is an egregious company. Everyone knows what I'm talking about. 5 potato chips in a bag, shrinkflation. They should be shot, but they've already been blasted, and it has probably the volume indicator, if it improves another day or two. My 2 cents is it's got a 155 print to the upside. Now let's talk about other things. Stanley Black & Decker is SWK. I'm not saying we need to rebuild America, but they sell a lot more commercial grade tools, power tools. Stanley Black & Decker, you should see the list that's under their staple of as a parent company of who they have under their belt besides Craftsman's from Sears. But they also broke out of the pivot. Somebody's been acquiring this position for quite some time, nibbling at it. Look at that momentum of the volume increasing, right? So this is a trade that's in a base, and I'm not saying it's getting ready to just blast off back to fill the gap at 100, but I think you'll have an opportunity on dips to be buying Stanley Black & Decker. So between Humana, Medtronics, the other one I think I already mentioned was Estee Lauder. Let's talk lastly about Nike. So Nike right now, just to give you an idea, has had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days of trading at its monthly pivot. It's on my list. Just as a reminder, here it is. It's on my list of stocks to look at from a seasonal perspective that have strong period from January through the March timeframe. What I see there is an opportunity for the March expiration, 75 strike calls. I think that's a good trade. You need about 60 days because it might linger around a little bit more. It could go and get ropey-dopey, give a false breakout, pull back. What if it does one of these where it has this sideways range, dumps, and then pumps? We don't have the volume. It's just improving right now. You can see the momentum of the volume is getting less bad. I think this is widely held. People are dumping it. They bought it because it was cheap. They liked it. They added more. They got a false sense of hope, and it's dumping. But I'm telling you right now, they're not down and out, and I think this is going to be a major recovery. Almost every single Major League Football organization, the Nike swoosh on their jersey, Nike shoes, golf, you got them, one of their big, I guess, celebrity golfers that they sponsor from head to toe, Nike, besides Rory McIlroy, Scotty Scheffler. Bottom line, Nike, I don't think, is going out of business. Great line for one of the most popular, fastest growing sports in America and around the world called pickleball. So I think they're rebranding. It's just that the Wall Street traders don't like it yet, but when they do, it's going to go. So buy, I think, the 75 strike calls. Don't get too crazy with them, but you can start to accumulate. Those are some great ideas. This is what we put out with our newsletter. Besides this week, we talked about Pure Storage. We got filled. We're making money. Here's Pure Storage real quick. PSTG. Now, don't get me wrong. We're not burning the sky up. It's up just a tad. But bottom line, the volume is breaking out a little bit. And if this breaks out of this consolidation, we're going to see should see a decent move. So we generated today another PPS buy signal on Pure Storage. It looks pretty good. Cloudflare is another one we got filled on a partial position on at a lower price this week. So again, there's a lot of great things that we put out with defining our risk and upside potential, using the person's tools. That's all in our advisory service. And quite frankly, you should take advantage, sign up for our advisory service. $1,500 a year. You can do it by a quarter. You also would have access to the live trading room, the algo strategy, as well as get more information on our other products that we have, such as our TradeStation Algo Extreme program. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed tonight's review. I wanted to cover, I always like to be responsible about what comes out of my mouth. We talked about RIOT blockchain. We talked about crypto the other night. This still looks like a very formidable potential for an upside breakout. BTC, by the way, I think if I didn't cover it already, look, Bitcoin futures, that's the pivot. Now we have pretty much a couple, this is the Bitcoin mini contract. Let me go with the at BTC for the futures contract. There it is. We have 3 days or 3 periods that it's breaking out. Now we got crypto, Bitcoin over 101,000, almost 102, and we've maintained structure strength above the monthly pivot. That should help create more momentum and momentum chasers that are with fear of missing out. Call it whatever you want. Bottom line, it should help RIOT. We talked about the 15 strike calls for February. Big volume in those the other day. And we'll see if we get some stronger follow through in the preceding days. Thanks for listening. And once again, if you like the videos, give me a thumbs up. This is the kind of research that we do day in and day out, as well as present to our traders and take these trades. And you can see we did some pretty good slick stuff. If you also notice, last but not least, none of our trades right now, we're not in any of the MAGA 8 names because none of them look good. Apple, by the way, we're not in Apple. Not short, not long, out of Apple. Why? Look, relative strength is no bueno. Dark blue. Big PPS sell signal. You have negative momentum of volume, and we had a bearish divergence of volume. So coming in, it's the opposite of everything I was sharing with you of what we're buying. So the stuff that was strong at the end of the year is weak, and the stuff that was weak at the end of the year is getting stronger. So thanks for listening. I'll see you on the next YouTube.